On today's show, just like the players, take the loss, feel the disappointment, and move on. We're moving on today. Why are the Mavericks going to win one more game in the Western Conference Finals and move on to the NBA Finals? Dana Larson and I will tell you right now. Today is Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know what's one reason why the Mavericks will win one more game. Just one. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me from Valley Sports Southwest, the pre- and post game, the great Dana Larson, here to bring us all back to earth, to make us feel better about where the Mavericks are right now. The great optimist. What you got for me, Dana Larson?
I love being called the great optimist. The sun is shining. The sun is shining today, as opposed to the insane storm we woke up to just 24 hours ago. And I have peace and quiet to record with you because moments ago I was surrounded by chainsaws outside as I had an entire crew from the city was cutting down a tree that fell victim to that entire storm or that insane storm yesterday. So I'm feeling so good about that. And I had so much fun seeing you and Reggie and Isaac last night at the game in person. And I didn't get to see Slightly in person, but I heard him on the post-game pod. And I feel pretty good about my decision, Nick, to let you three cook without me last night after the game.
Us make a fool of ourselves instead after a game like that. Yesterday we exchanged tree falling pictures yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Feel like everybody does that after a big storm. You're like, oh, a tree fell in my neighborhood. Oh, tree fell in mine too.
Look at mine. Mine's worse.
Oh man. Yeah. So hopefully everybody is safe from all the storms. I saw Mark Folwell getting his chainsaw out too. A bunch of people cleaning up from the storms and all that. So hopefully everybody is safe and all that. The Dallas Mavericks fall in game 4, though. The series is now going to be at least 5 games. And the Mavericks will win one more game. They will. And Dana and I are going to tell you exactly why they're going to do that today. We've got some reasons. We'll start going through them. I got to start here. The fourth quarter execution. The reason why the Mavericks are in the place where they're in right now, up 3-0 and now up 3-1, is because they out-executed the Timberwolves in the fourth quarter. In the last 5 minutes, the Mavs dominated. They got the right plays. They made the right plays. They made the right defensive plays. They hit the right shots. All that. Luka and Kyrie better than Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns in the last 5 minutes. They've been better in the series than them until game 4. And there's the stretch, Dana, from 6 minutes till 1 minute in like 47 seconds where the Mavs had some just uncharacteristic mistakes for them. And to me, I think that stretch right there will, if they clean up some of these things, I think that will, it could have completely changed the game last night, but I don't think the Mavericks will do those things again. And I'm very encouraged by some of the things that I saw, like, oh, they won't do that again. They won't do this again. And I think that execution, just to start with, is the most important thing for the Mavericks, especially in a series like this.
Absolutely. I think that's what gives you so much confidence, going forward, is looking at moments like that. I mean, you're down 5 with plenty of time to go. And it was absolutely, you take the Mavericks in close games in every one of those situations, especially as we saw how Minnesota looked in the first 3 games. I was no way nervous about Karl-Anthony Towns making a couple of big shots. So credit to him. He did do that. And, they made enough free throws when they needed to. And the strangest thing is seeing Kyrie Irving in those moments, not just dominate. We call him 4Q Kai for a reason. He's a closer. He's fourth quarter Kyrie Irving for a reason. He has built a resume that you would put all your money on time and time again for executing, making big shots, living up to the moment. And so it was really strange. To your point, really, I think the turnover was the one that I think everybody just went, did we just see that? That's so shocking. They were really denying him clean, looks to get rid of the ball, clean shots at the basket. And he was the first to admit it afterwards. He was frustrated. He said he didn't feel like he started the game well or finished the game well. And he's not going to do it again. That's what you feel really good about.
Right. That's the thing, is that these are things that they're not going to do again. 6 minutes left in the game. The Mavs take a 1-point lead. Kyrie hit a jumper, took advantage of Gobert, had his 5th foul. Gobert couldn't come up and like really step up to Kyrie. Kyrie, great play, took advantage of that. Then right after that, Towns hits a 3. Luka didn't switch on the play, just completely left him, was sort of dropping back. PJ Washington got stuck on a screen, and Luka didn't switch. That's a mistake that won't happen again, right? You make sure that you switch in that moment. Then Kyrie missed a layup. He missed it and rushed it. It was right at the rim. He kind of took it from a bad angle, which can I say that? I don't think Kyrie can take a shot.
Yeah, all angles are good
from a bad angle, but not an optimal angle, I guess I'll put it that way. But he rushed it, and he was right there at the rim and was able to put it up there. Didn't get it. Then on the other end, the Mavs defense gets caught in these cross matches where Gafford was guarding Jaden McDaniels, Derrick Jones Jr. was guarding Gobert, and Kyrie was guarding Cat. Just everything all mixed up. Their shell defense was not exactly set the way that it was, and it turned out to be a disaster. And the Timberwolves talked about this play after the game. This was the one where Kyle Anderson is standing in the corner, and Towns is on the left wing, and Towns kind of sneaks behind Kyle Anderson. He just kind of like sneaks behind him, and Kyle Anderson's looking at Anthony Edwards. And on the other end of the court, Anthony Edwards is being guarded by both PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. at the same time. Gafford and Kyrie both think they're guarding Jaden McDaniels. So now no one is guarding Towns, and he's just standing there in the corner. Luka is under the rim, kind of getting Gobert and Kyle Anderson at the same time. And Kyle Anderson is like almost screaming with his eyes and pointing at Towns behind him to Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is like, after the game, he goes, I was going to take a shot, and I saw Kyle Anderson over there pointing out this play. And so I tossed it over to Cat, and Cat made a wide open 3 because the Mavs defense just wasn't set. And that play put the Mavs down 5 at that point. And that was just such a disastrous defensive play that, Dana, won't happen again.
No, we heard the words breakdowns being used by the Mavericks. We heard the words miscommunication, which was so weird. It really jumped out to me because this is a defense that's been uber tied together, for the most part of the playoffs. It's why they are truly where they are at this point. And I think I want to, go back and maybe say so much of this has to do with the fact that Derek Lively was out. They had gotten, so comfortable with having him in, and there was so much consistency to the rotations, the roles, who was in late in games. And so I think there was, from the get-go, there was a little bit of this, how are we doing this today? We've got different looks, different things, because the only way to really explain indecision on rotations, miscommunication, breakdowns, things like that I think it just personnel-wise, as the game was going, spacing looked off at times, things that you just hadn't seen in a while. And unfortunately, I think it was, what ultimately led to these late game moments where they weren't just really on top of it defensively. And, the way Cat had been shooting for the first 3 games, most of the time you say, fine, let him take those shots.
Take your 1,500 shots.
The Timberwolves themselves didn't even want him taking those shots in the first couple games. They were looking to have Naz Reid shoot him instead. So, he did find a big moment for him. And hopefully we just look back on it as way too little too late for Karl Anthony Towns to really, turn things around.
Absolutely. So the Mavs are down 5 with 5 minutes left at that point. Luka then missed a 3. It was an okay look. It was kind of contested, but he went for the 3 there. Then you get a couple other plays. The Mavs are down 3, and with 3 minutes left, Mavs down 3. Luka went for the kill shot. He rushed a step back. It was a wild step back where you just go, if anyone else in the league took that shot, you'd go, what are you doing? But if Luka takes it, you're like, okay, I guess I can understand it. But went for the kill shot. Then the third Cat 3 in this whole stretch. 3 minutes left. It's contested by Derrick Jones Jr. Another cross matches thing where Luka had to guard Anthony Edwards. PJ Washington was stuck on Kyle Anderson, and Derrick Jones Jr. was on Karl Anthony Towns. So again, not exactly the defense set the way that you want it to be. And Derrick Jones Jr. has not stepped up on Cat. At that point, he's starting to shoot the ball well. And he's a great three-point shooter, and you can defend him driving by you. That's not a problem. Stay up on him. Like, stay up on him at that point. And Derrick Jones Jr. wasn't. Cat hit the three. It was contested. It was a good shot by Cat. But he hits that. Timberwolves go up by 5 again. Then you have the PJ Washington turnover on the left side against Anthony Edwards, where he's trying to drive on him. That's a mistake that doesn't happen too often. He shouldn't really drive on Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards getting to the point where it's like Kawhi. It's like, remember on those Clippers series, you're like, no one should drive on Kawhi. No one. Like, just don't do it. Then you had Derrick Jones Jr. had a corner three, kind of a rushed shot, but it was open, so you're okay with that one. And then you get the Anthony Edwards hits a tough one-on-one floater right there, and you're down 8 all of a sudden with a minute 30 left. And that to me, that stretch, like 6 minutes till like 1:30 was a really tough stretch in all those plays that I just mentioned. The Mavs will execute better. They'll be better at that in the next game. And so coming up, let's talk about the other reasons why the Mavs will be better and will win one more game in this series. We'll talk about all that and more, Dana, coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds that you can use to get in on the action. Like we said at the beginning, you can get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed with any winning $5 bet. You can use it to put it on, Game 5. Timberwolves, -4.5. -4.5. You get about 3 points usually for being at a home team, but the Mavs were 1.5 point favorites in game 4, in game 4. So that's interesting. Vegas seems to like the Timberwolves. Either that or there's a bunch of money going on the Mavs right now, and so they're trying to weight it the other way. Mavs still the favorites to win the Western Conference Finals, but only -600. So that's some pretty good odds, actually, if you want to jump on that to win the Western Conference Finals. Anything like that, put down $5. You get $150 in bonus bets to use on anything else. FanDuel.com/lockedon to do that. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show with me today. If you watched the unhinged 3-man weave we did last night after the game, appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Just some insane, awesome moments that were just hilarious that I'm still laughing about today. And if you didn't listen to our post game from Game 3, maybe one of the most electric openings to a show we've ever had. I talked to Big Rob from the Maniacs the other day, and we were going up the elevator together, and he was like, I think I watched that 3 times. just the beginning of it, because it was so perfect. We couldn't have planned it any better with the crowd, the TNT crew, everything that's happening, the win, the energy from the stadium. It's just kind of one of those moments you go, I don't think we could recreate this if we ever really wanted to. So great moments on Locked On Mavs. We'll continue all throughout the offseason, all throughout the season, and all that. We continue, as we have all season, with Dana Larson, talking about reasons why the Mavericks will win one more. Dana, make me feel better about this team. Why would the Mavs win one more game?
Well, I think too, one of the things when we were just breaking down the last few minutes of the fourth quarter in the first segment, and I was thinking about how desperate Minnesota had to play in that game. And so you get, guys flying all over the place, real active hands. They were making things difficult. They were having to play with the desperation of their season on the line, and their season that had been so good going down in flames. If you are swept in the Western Conference Finals, it really puts, kind of a tarnish on all the good that you did. So you knew it was going to be hard. And you had a Mavericks team that was probably overly excited to try and dealing with the pressure of being at home, wanting to close it out, wanting the confetti to rain down on them, on their home court with their home fans, and do trophy presentation. You're a young team. You're already probably trying to fight off those thoughts, right? So Luka talked about the energy not being right for that game. Kyrie was, disappointed in the way he said he came out, and therefore it sort of ends up being kind of a leadership thing where the rest fall in line with that sort of an idea. So to me, everything changes. Now you go to Minnesota, you've got your backs against the wall again, which is, sort of that mentality that I think they enjoy having. You've given a team a little bit of life, and maybe that's all you need to refocus And to get back to kind of doing what you're doing. You've now also seen Minnesota's biggest adjustment, right? They switch defenders on Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah,
they're
right.
having to play. They're having to come up with what's our last ditch effort here. What are we going to do? And those things worked for the moment. But they also know exactly how to adjust every single time. Luka and Kyrie have seen everything. So they'll get back to shooting percentages that we're used to seeing. They'll get back to getting better quality shots because they will have watched film on this. What just happened? How are we going to attack it now? If those wide open threes or corner threes are available for the role players again, which you'd like to think they are, you're going to have more guys hitting them. I mean, PJ Washington really struggled shooting the ball, in that game. I think he goes out and, kind of embraces that road mentality. And hopefully he has a better day shooting. Derek Jones Jr. a little bit more from three. Maybe you get Lively back. That would be, amazing. It's hard to hope for that. But if you don't, now you've at least got another game with Maxi Kleber under your belt. And that's, having him is awesome. It's entirely different, though, than Lively. So those adjustments, you've got some, minutes under your belt with these different things. And I just think there's going to be a whole different feel and vibe going into this next one.
The feel and the vibe coming out of Game 4, I thought was interesting from each team. And this was one of my things that this team has zero panic, right? They take on the mentality of their head coach and Jason Kidd that they don't panic, they don't get too high, they don't get too low on any moment or any situation that they're in. Kyrie took responsibility after the game. This one's on me. Luka took responsibility after the game. This one's on me. Gafford took responsibility after the game. This was on me. And those are the only three that talked on the podium. And they all took responsibility for the game. Each player is taking like their responsibility for what they can control and going out and trying to fix the next thing. And that sounds such like a normal sportsy thing that oh, they take responsibility for the loss. But when all three of those players like that come out with the same message, I think that means a lot for a team, that they're all on the same page. They all know what they're working towards. They all also mentioned they didn't come out with the right energy. Luka, Kyrie, and Gafford all mentioned the same thing. They took responsibility. They said they didn't come out with the right energy, and now like they're going to respond. Gafford also had a quote that I just found awesome at the end. He said, "We was expecting to be happy at the end of this game, and now we're pissed off." And now they've got to respond to that. And this team has done really well responding because they have zero panic, and they're just such a resilient group.
I love pissed off Gaff, and I love cranky Luka. It's one of my favorite things, and you can sense it. Luka sits down to do those post-game press conferences, they're your one-word answers. You can look at your watch. Amazing. The whole thing might take 3 minutes, and it's because he's mad and he knows that the game was right there. To me, that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing about Game 4. They didn't shoot the ball well. Derek Lively was out. He's the heart and soul of this thing, and he's out of the thing. Maxi's back for the first time in weeks. They're one turnover and a clutch shot away from winning it all. So all these things go wrong, and they know it. That's why they were frustrated and mad about it. But every time we've heard from cranky Luka this season, look out, the next game, because he uses it in such a motivational way. And, there are usually not back-to-back games where he's saying, yeah, I didn't have the right energy again. Like, go back and look. That's never happened. He is the ultimate competitor. They are killers. He and Kyrie are absolute killers, and they're not going to get this far and not turn it around quickly.
You mentioned kind of the end execution there is that another reason why this team is resilient. So I mentioned that stretch at the beginning, or that stretch in the fourth quarter from 6 minutes to like a minute 40 where they go down 8. You're like, they were leading and then they go down 8. It was a 9-point swing basically for the Timberwolves. With a minute 2 left, Kyrie hits another like great floater. And the Mavs are only down 3 with a minute left. And like, I'm sitting next to Slightly during the game and he's like, oh, it's done. When they went down 8, he was like, it's up. It's done. Like, pack it up. Just, he wasn't commenting on the actual team. He was just like how he felt in that moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man. There's like a minute 40 left. Like they're only down 8. Like it's only a couple buckets. Then all of a sudden they're down 3 with a minute left. Right. And you get Anthony Edwards gets an open jumper off of a Gobert. Kind of like, I can't stand these Gobert like screens with his butt. Like that's gotta be a foul. I can't Scott Foster. But he hits the jumper. It's an open jumper, bad defensive play. Then Kyrie has the turnover. Then Gafford fouls Conley on that play. But Luka gets the and 1-3, and he misses a free throw. So Kyrie turnover, Gafford fouling Conley, Luka missed free throw. Like all opportunities that were just missed right there from all three players that were on the podium that all took responsibility after the game. Mm-hmm. And they had another chance. Even going down 8 with a minute 40 left was not enough to keep this team at bay. And I think that will be the same in a game 5, even in a game 6. Like this team will continue to come back and they'll continue to keep fighting. And that's something that is really admirable about this team, what we've seen so far. And so coming up, let's talk about the other reasons why the Mavericks will win another game. Derek Lively, will he come back? Maxey, will he look better in the next game? Let's talk about that coming up.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Dana, let's talk about some more reasons why the Mavs are going to win one more game. We're confident, feeling good about it. What's another reason why the Mavs are going to win one more game, Dana?
Well, they are going to continue to play really good defense. That is what this team is now built on. They know it is their calling card. And to me, when you look back, there was a stat that just reminded me that, let's see, it said just the third time in either the regular season or the playoffs that the Mavericks have lost a game despite holding their opponent to 105 or fewer points. They had been 26-3 in games before that. So again, you just love the fact that you've been able to do that. And despite some of those breakdowns late and despite, adjusting without Derek Lively, they are still able to really just dig in defensively against, these tough teams and make this Minnesota team in this series. At times I've sat back and been like, how did they get here? Like they have not looked good offensively. And you go, it feels like sometimes all they have is Anthony Edwards. So they have put themselves in a really good position. We know history is on their side as well. No team has ever come back from down 0-3, right? So history's on your side. The way you've been playing defense is on your side. I think that they know the offense will be there. The offensive rating had been really good, and it dropped in this game for all the reasons we've talked about. But you don't overreact. You don't overreact to that. And you just, you get ready for what we like to call a gentleman's sweep. You go get this next one and you win 4-1. There you go.
Mavs defensive rating and the final score for the Timberwolves is the same in game 1 that it was in game 4. 105 points, and the defense rating was 112.9. Literally the exact same in both games. You win one, you lose one, because they score 108. Mavs scored 108 points in game 1 and only 100 points in game 4. That's the difference. A couple of shots here or there. Kyrie rush shot, a Kyrie turnover, a Luka missed shot, a Luka rush 3. Like it's just a couple of bounces of the ball, and that's why we think that I think those things will be different. And but yeah, the defense staying the way that it is, even without Lively, I think that is super encouraging that they were able to play the defense without Lively and Cat finally hitting some shots. I guess it was Cat instead of Naz Reid hitting those shots now in this, but Timberwolves got some things going with their 2 stars finally, and they had the same exact offensive output that they've had in some of these losses, basically.
Right. That's just it. I think if you're Minnesota, you still feel like you're barely hanging on. You found a way to scratch and claw to a win, one you had to have. But I don't think there's been any moments in this series where they would sit back and just feel really, really good about everything kind of coming together. It's really been the Mavericks setting the tone in so many of these games and could have even won a game. Very, a close game here in game 4 too. So I still feel like there's so much belief on the Mavericks side that they have what it takes, that this is a matchup that's totally in their favor. I don't think there's any worry for them. And on Minnesota's side, you've been questioning yourself since game 1. Like, wait a minute, things are not going the way we wanted them to. And they're fighting. They got to fight that mental side way more than the Mavs do.
Yeah, I think another reason to be encouraged by it is that they got Maxi Kleber back. I thought that he looked good in some instances on defense. He had a couple of good like drives or things that created offense that I think really helped them. He looked timid on his 3-point shooting. It didn't look like he wanted to take some threes, and I think maybe that is getting some rust off, but you get him back, and I think that's a positive.
He doesn't tend to come back to a comfortable place with his 3-point shot quickly.
Right.
He usually takes a little bit of time to find that confidence. And the second anyone is passing up a three, and it felt like at times there were moments with this offense in that game 4 where guys were passing up good shots, just weren't feeling quite right with them. I mean, we had a Dante Exum moment.
Yes.
And I was thrilled, and he hit one that was great, but then I felt like he kind of quickly passed one up too. So if it may take Maxi just a little bit of time to get it, but we know how good he is in the playoffs. When he gets it in the playoffs, look out. He could really be that 3-point spark that they would need.
And Jaden Hardy is emerging, and that's another reason why I'm excited about this and expecting another win, is because they needed one more ball handler. They needed one more kind of scorer. Just somebody 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Doesn't have to be a lot, but Hardy has really stepped up. He had, his best little stretch there at the end of the third, going into the fourth, where he hit that 3 to start the quarter. I mean, he's having a moment right now. He had 13 points in that game 4 loss. He had hit 3 threes, hit a couple other shots. One where he just squared up against Anthony Edwards one-on-one, drove to the lane and finished. Another one against Kyle Anderson where he had that huge dunk. Like, just some awesome stuff from Jaden Hardy, who is just seeming like growing into his confidence even more.
I love it. It's a Hardy coming out party in
That's
the
right.
playoffs. It really is great. And you can see, like, I was watching Luka without the ball when Hardy had the ball. And you could see, it's like Hardy looks to Luka, like, should I get it back to you? And Luka looks at him and he tells him to go do your thing, So you're getting those, moments of confidence coming from the star of the team, telling you to go cook. We know you can do this. And it is great. I think it's been really, interesting wrinkle that Jason Kidd, was willing to do at this point in the playoffs, and for Hardy to come through is so exciting. And I was also endlessly watching Derek Lively on the bench. I was looking for every moment I could find to think that he was going to be okay soon.
Yeah.
How's
he walking?
How's he
his
walking?
eyes?
Oh, he turned his head. He turned his head to the crowd really smoothly. He didn't look in pain. And he was loving, calling out how many fouls Cat had and how many fouls Rudy Gobert had. So he looked physically pretty good over there. Don't have any idea how soon, at this point he'll be able to return, but you just know. I mean, truly, I don't feel like I'm overstating it when I say he's like the heart and soul of this thing now. I really think the Mavs have just found something so big in Derek Lively, and hopefully he's not out for a long time.
It's wild how much he's like Tyson Chandler in that way.
Yes.
With like being vocal. Like if you heard was it game 2 or game 3 where they had him mic'd up and you just heard him like screaming, yelling at people, telling PJ Washington where to go on defense because he's the backline guy, seeing everything, hearing him scream after an alley-oop dunk where it just felt like that scream just came from somewhere. Like it came from somewhere deep below. Like he's got a lot to he's got a lot going on, obviously, but like a dunk like that, just so cathartic in that moment, and he's putting it all out on the court, and that's one of the reasons why he's out is because he put it all out on the court, went for a loose ball, and then he gets kneed in the back of the head inadvertently by Towns, and he does kind of feel like that right now, and I think he'll return because of what we've seen from neck sprains. Jeff Stotts from In Street Clothes said the average for an NBA player with a neck strain since 2006 has been like 4 days.
Okay.
So that's the average. We'll see if it's on the longer side or not. The Mavericks have definitely bought him some time with 3 wins, but I do think he will come back in this series at some point. If not, then for the finals, because we expect them to win one more.
That's right. We do, and he's an important partner, if you will, with Gafford. Yeah. Because the words that we've heard Gafford say about Derek Lively, the rookie is pushing the veteran to be better. And I think that is amazing. He's not shied away from it, saying that it's very motivating watching the way Lively plays in his stretches and then going out there and wanting to bring that same energy. And they have differences. They're different things that they both do well. But I think that's, these are two guys that, to kind of get all the way back to the way we started, two tall trees that, this Mavericks team really needs in there to contend with what, Minnesota brings. And, hopefully they're back together sooner than later.
Yeah, well, sometimes trees fall and you can reroot them and you can put them back. And so that's what I hope happens with Derek Lively, that they can reroot him and bring him
blossom.
back.
Yes,
yeah, right. Stronger than ever. He'll come.
Stronger
back.
roots.
Absolutely. So there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Go and listen to Locked On Wolves if you haven't yet. Ben Beacon's doing a great job over on Locked On Wolves. I'll have more episodes for you. We'll have another post game. These games every other day. They never stop, it seems like. But we'll have a post-game show after Game 5. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.